Hi, this is Professor Lusheen. This is lecture 25, the final lecture of Module 5 and the course. I'm sorry I had to update it using this format, but in the original video I had talked too much about the old final exam, but I recreated it so it's better. Let's see if we can get this working. So this is going to be a short video. I just kind of want to wrap things up for the semester, maybe talk about some current and future trends, talk a little bit about the final exam, and have some parting words. One thing I want you to see on the bottom, that if we haven't already had our one-on-one meeting, which we should have had at some point during this week 5, we got to do that right away. Remember in week 2 we spoke and I introduced the OSHA hazard identification training tool, and I wanted you to play with it like 3 or 4 hours between then and now. So if you haven't already, put in 3 or 4 hours and then let me know what your stats are, how you did, because it's like a game. And then I also want your your honest feedback on it, and then we'll just kind of talk about the overall course and see if you have any questions for the final exam. One last thing I want you to do is watch my, I think it's only like a 10-15 minute video. In 2005 I participated in the Kobe Talks seminar, and I talk about maximizing business success. I really think that this course provides a really interesting foundation or a connection to that talk. And so, having taken the course in the last 5 weeks, I want you to watch that. So what are some OSHA trends or some occupational safety and health trends? Well, there's always the national emphasis programs. I got them right there at top, and I just updated these as well. As you know, the record keeping reporting, especially the electronic submission, is a real hot topic right now. We don't even know. The deadline was supposed to be July 1st. It got postponed. We don't know what's going on. Combustible dust is also on there, and isn't it interesting that we had the potential dust explosion at the Didion Milling plant in Cambria. That's actually going to be on the final exam. Amputation hazards, hexavalent chromium, lead, process safety management, silica. There's trenching and excavating, and there are a few others. Some other emerging trends are the lean safety or the quality management approach. This is for the more experienced safety professional. We're also adopting more things like 6S or 5S plus 1. These are techniques used by quality managers or maybe efficiency managers or efficiency experts, and we're trying to incorporate them into safety because we're finding that the techniques make kind of add something. It's another tool in our toolkit. We're also taking more of a risk-based approach or a systems approach or a management systems approach. So ISO has a brand new standard coming out. I think it's 45001. ANSI still is Z10, but it just came out of committee, I think, last year. And so these are things that companies can use. I mean, basically, if you've accomplished all of your OSHA compliance stuff and you're looking for something more to bring your safety program performance to the next level, well, then you pursue these things like lean safety and systems management and risk-based. There's also a push for cost-benefit justified safety, either a business case or employing this sustainability and safety approach to things. And that is, we don't want companies relying solely on, we don't want the safety professionals relying solely on, convincing their employer to invest in safety because, we'll protect you from an OSHA citation. We want to show that we can actually improve the design of the job. We can improve the productivity of the worker. We can make them happier. We can improve relationships and communication in the work environment, which makes all things work better. For safety too, but I train my students in sort of the advanced classes on how to do this, to really justify, to show that there is a dollar value, a profit to be made if you do a good job with safety. And then finally, there is this push by the academics group out of ASSE in coming up with a more of a foundation for the professionalization of safety, because right now you don't need a degree or a license to practice. Anybody can do it, and even though they're not saying this must be done, it's just creating it for some point in the future safety wants to make that jump to more of a traditional or sovereign profession. It can. Let's review the semester quick. So Module 1, remember we watched all those videos, and I know in the discussion board you guys showed me the appreciation that you have, the feelings you have towards safety. That was on purpose. I wanted you guys to sort of have a visceral reaction to those videos so you know the importance of safety. And that carried into Module 2. You guys are very passionate about safety and what it does, and some of you have had experience in your own lives with it, that people are putting OSHA down, but you realize the importance of it, and I really like that. But I also taught you how to use the OSHA website and taught you some of the inner workings of of OSHA and using the regulations, the citing it and things like that. You're going to prove that to me in the final exam, by the way. Module 3, we took it a step further. We looked at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We talked about OSHA record keeping, covered workers' compensation. We went into different techniques to do audits and inspections and job hazard analyses and system safety approaches. And then I taught you what a safety program looks like. Module 4, remember how busy that was? That's where we used the justification of the top 3 non-fatal causes of injuries. If you recall, that's overexertion, slip, trips, and falls, caught in, struck by. And we compared both the costs of it and the frequency of those cases, a la Bureau of Labor Statistics. And that was all predicated on the hazard control hierarchy. Finally, in Module 5, I think you noticed things dialed back a bit, and I brought in the health standards and industrial hygiene, and we talked about hearing conservation, and actually this was this module, what am I thinking? You just learned about hearing conservation, respiratory protection, and behavioral-based safety, and now we're here. So this course, I think, provided a lot of coverage at minimal depth, but I think what I've given you is the ability to search out and find more information if you need to, because I gave you a good exposure to the primary sources of information, the primary references. The final exam, it will be posted on Monday, July 3rd, probably right away in the morning. It's going to be a Word document, if you will, because you can use it to write it up. 10 questions, 10 points each. The first 5 questions, I'm going to test your ability to utilize the OSHA, the BLS, and the NIOSH website. So I've actually created practical safety questions, things that may come up in a job, along with one scenario, and that is the Didion milling. I want you to look into that a little bit more based on what you can find on the OSHA website and also things you can find on the NIOSH website. So first 5 questions, you just have to read them and then use the resources I tell you to use and give the best answer you can. The last 5, now the old final exam, it used to be, have 10 of these. I've got 5 accident scenarios or accident videos from the OSHA, the YouTube website, or just YouTube, I suppose, the Facebook. And what I'm going to have you do is watch the video, identify the hazard in the video, or hazards. There's a couple of videos that have multiple hazards. Then I want you to go through and cite the proper OSHA standard or standards, depending on what you identify for the hazard. Then I want you to then do a little research using the OSHA website or the NIOSH website. Those are going to be your 2 primaries. And I want you to come up with recommendations to control that, which is to mean to prevent it from happening again. So there shouldn't just be maybe one answer for some of these, but multiple answers, so a range of answers. I want you to test your ability to apply the hazard control hierarchy. So can it be eliminated? Can it be designed out? Are administrative controls the best answer? I got stuttered. And then finally, personal protective equipment and training. So there are 3 parts to the last 5 questions, and you see in the first 5, there's a couple that have several parts as well. Now, each question would be graded based on a rubric that I've created. Just provide full detailed answers. Some of the answers require you to cite your reference because I want to know where you got the information from. I don't want you Googling. You shouldn't have to Google anything except for maybe additional information on the Didion milling explosion. Everything's due to D2L Dropbox. The folder is already there if you want to see it. By midnight on Sunday, July 9th. That's the latest I can possibly go because grades are due like a day or 2 later. And I need that time. I'm going to need time to grade all these. Yeah, it's due 2 days later. So I really need everything submitted that night so that Monday I can try to get everything done, but then I have Tuesday to wrap it up and then post. If you have any questions, you can ask me, but you've got almost a full week to work on this. So I do recommend that you at least look at it, start thinking about it on the 3rd. The 4th is a holiday, I know, and so you've got, at least 6 good days to work on it. My parting words to you that if you haven't already, I'm giving points for you to complete the university survey. They used to call it the Classroom Climate Survey. It comes out and they ask you to fill it out by a certain date, and that date may have already passed when you're watching this. So I hope you did that because I'll be sending out reminder emails as well. It's really important that we get 100% participation rate on that survey. And if you want to speak well of me, I really appreciate that. If you haven't already, I want you to watch my Kobe talk, which is entitled like a business case or maximizing business success, because it's important important to me because it does cover everything we had in this course. And I want you to know, I want to know what you think of it. Finally, I would like to keep in touch with all of you if you want to. You can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm fairly active there. Or if sometime in the future, if you have any questions or you're dealing with something safety related and you just can't remember that one thing we covered in class, please contact me. I want to help you. That's what I'm here for. I'm a resource for a lot of people, and I enjoy it. It's what I do. I'm immersed in this field. Last but not least, thank you. I really appreciate the time and energy you put into this course. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have delivering it and building it. This is such a great field, and if at all, again, in the future I can help you, that'd be fantastic. So with that being said, I guess I got to hit stop. I just don't know where it is. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.